We now know that a technology failure led to longer than expected outages for Duke Energy customers on Christmas Eve. Today, the company addressed the Utilities Commission about the rolling blackouts that affected 500,000 customers. WRAL's Joe Fisher is live now to explain how things did not work as planned. Joe?
Gerald, despite making winter weather preparations, today we learned that equipment at 3 different Duke Energy plants froze in that storm the day before Christmas Eve, which greatly impacted generation. It all led to those rolling blackouts, and we also now know a system, an automated system designed to carry out those blackouts, failed.
And we acknowledge that the outages themselves lasted far longer than we expected.
Duke Energy is apologizing 10 days after the Christmas Eve blackouts that came without warning.
And although we provided customers with information along the way, it was not as accurate as what our customers are accustomed to.
Duke now says its energy projections were as much as 10% below demand. Unable to get power from neighboring states, the utility depleted its reserves. And for the very first time in company history, they instituted rolling outages known as load shedding. Using an automated tool, Duke removed 234 circuits, then restored power, but the program stopped working.
At 7:10 a.m., the automated tool did not respond to these additional load reduction commands, requiring the operators to begin executing the required activities for managing load manually.
Outages that should have lasted 15 to 30 minutes instead lasted hours.
As more demands came that required us to add additional lines, the system did not rotate as planned.
Duke says the tool is tested every year and was tested 2 weeks before the blackouts.
We'll continue our investigation on the tool. We'll make sure that we correct the issues associated with it, and it will go through rigorous testing before we return it to service.
The company is also analyzing how it can better weatherproof equipment at its energy plants.
In a few cases, insulation and heat tracing did not prevent instrumentation lines from freezing, which precipitated a reduction in generation.
And we are still working to learn from Duke Energy the name of that software, that load shedding software that failed, and also the company who provided it. Duke Energy not getting back to us about that just yet. Today, Duke Energy also apologized for a breakdown in communication with customers, saying that it is already working on an automated messaging system to send a message to customers if this happens again. Of course, they hope it will not happen again, but say if presented with a similar set of challenges, it could happen. Gerald.
Joe Fisher reporting live for us tonight. Thank you, Joe. This story may not make you feel any better if you lost power during that rolling blackout. Analysts say the cost of upgrading and replacing equipment is often passed on to the consumer. WRAL's data trackers examined Duke Energy's finances and found gross profits could hit a 5-year high. Analysts anticipate the energy company's gross profits to be more than $12.7 billion in 2022. That's an increase of nearly 18% since 2017. Operating costs and the cost of goods and services have increased significantly in that same time. Now, analysts believe Duke Energy spent about $2 billion on those last year. The company has proposed rate increases that range between $6 and $14 a month for residential customers. That amount depends on where you live and which arm of the company provides your energy. Duke's fiscal year wrapped up at the end of the calendar year, so we'll learn more in next month's earnings report. That will give the full picture of the financial impact from the outages in Moore County and the storms across the South.